Hi, my name is Mitch Majeski, and I'm one of the pastors of Summit View Community Church here in Fort Collins, Colorado. And recently I had the wonderful opportunity of sitting down with Pastor John Piper, and we discussed the lessons that he's learned over several decades of life and ministry, what it means to follow Jesus, the convictions that matter to him. And it was really one generation of pastors speaking to the next generation of pastor. And it was a wonderful opportunity that we wanted to extend to more than just myself. And so we took that interview and the highlights of that interview and took 5 to 7 minute segments, and we're going to be publishing those at Multnoma's website. And we would love for those to be a source of encouragement and equipping for you as pastors. So please enjoy these and as a gift from Multnoma Publishers. So it's been quite a week for you. You explained how you did a funeral on Monday, was that correct?
Yep.
Monday a funeral, Wednesday you had a chapel thing.
Thursday was the chapel.
Thursday was chapel.
Yeah, Tuesday a long interview with a candidate for one of the positions in the seminary here. And 6
hours of Future Grace seminar.
Yeah, and then preached tonight. Yeah. He's kind of numb.
I can't even imagine. As you unpack the week at the seminar, I had this pit in my stomach. I thought, oh my goodness, it doesn't get any easier. Maturity doesn't bring more balance necessarily.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah.
This is an unusual week.
Yeah, that's a question I want to ask, because I think that gets tossed around a little bit, is this idea of balance in ministry. And there's something that's a little bit smacks like me taking a little bit too much control when I'm trying to balance. But I do sense that I can overextend myself, not trust in and where God would lead. Is there such a thing as balance in the Christian life?
Well, I suppose it depends on what two things you're talking about.
Yeah, what you're balancing.
I mean, there are things that you should be totally imbalanced in. Yeah. Like, you shouldn't balance indifference to Jesus and passion for Jesus. Moderation in all things is not a biblical sentence.
That's right.
That didn't come from the Bible.
Right.
We should be utterly sold out to Jesus, and so radical in a lot of ways.
Right.
But what people usually mean when they talk about balance is family, children on the one side, and committee meetings and sermon preparation and visitation and evangelism on the other side. And in that sense then, whether balance is the right word, both those flocks need tending.
Yeah. And
I say it like that lest we think that the ministry is church and the family is a distraction. The family is ministry. We're called as fathers to shepherd our little flock. You've got a flock of, what, 5?
4.
4, and then a wife.
Yeah.
So 5. Your flock is 5, plus you as a shepherd. And that's a ministry. You have a small group there, and you are the elder there, and you'll be called to account for that someday, to fulfill fathers. Bring up your children in the nurture and admonition of the Lord, and the Lord will ask you to do, did you do that, just as much as he'll ask, how did you take care of the committees at church, or how did you lead the people in evangelism? So the balance is not between ministry and non-ministry. The balance is just trying to figure out all the aspects of ministry in the way that would magnify God the most. And then making those choices depends a lot on who you are, who your wife is, what kind of person is she, what are her needs, and what kind of church do you have, and what are its manifold ministries, and what are your roles in them. And every pastor has a different setup than the other pastor, and therefore some pastors are going to have huge amounts of time pouring into neighborhood evangelism. Right. Others are going to have a huge amount of time going into discipleship and classes and whatnot. Others are going to have a huge amount of time going into funerals. When I came here, I buried somebody every 3 weeks for a year and a half.
No.
I had never done a funeral when I came, ever. And I did a funeral every 3 weeks for 18 months. I went back and confirmed that in my journal, because I came to a church that was 80% old people, and only a scattering of young people. So now in that phase of my ministry, what was balanced? Well, I was way imbalanced in terms of dead people.
Right.
I mean, the funeral that I had on Monday here was a rarity. most of our old people have died. And now I'm the old guy at the church, and everybody tends to be younger. So I think every chapter of your ministry, you consult with your wife over and over, and you consult with your elders, and you try to discern what is a healthy calling on these aspects. And so, yeah, I think it's okay to call that balance and to strive. Are all the places where I have responsibility healthy?
Yeah.
And am I helping them be healthy or helping them be sick?
Yeah.